Hello, everyone. So, who has not seen SXA? All right, everyone else, the bar is back there. So, so I am Dylan McCurry with Brainjocks.
And I'm Dmitry Kharnitsky from Brainjocks as well. And today we're going to talk about SXA. So we already got some high-level overview what SXA is, and we're going to have a little bit deeper dive into SXA feature. And before we're going to talk about, I will take a microphone. So before we're going to talk about what you could do with SXA, maybe you could spend and give you a few ideas about what you could do in order to start working with SXA. So to start use SXA, you need to have Sitecore version 8.1 or 8.2. So if you sitting on previous version, you need to upgrade. Also, you need to remember that SXA works only for MVC products, or for MVC projects. So if you still on web forms, so this may be a good time for you finally switch to MVC and be modern and join us. Also, what you need to have SXA license, of course. And if you don't have it yet, please contact your Sitecore account manager. They will be glad to help you. And that's basically all prerequisites. So in order to get SXA installation package, you need to go to Sitecore developer portal, and this is the same place when you get your Sitecore packages. And if you need documentation, you need to go to Sitecore documentation portal. And we encourage everybody to, if you want to work with SXA, to check it frequently, because we see lots of progress with this documentation. New pages appearing at least every week, maybe even often. And as soon as you got package, you could install that package. And setup process is very straightforward. It's very similar to any marketplace package. The only difference that you will download it from Sitecore portal, not from marketplace. There is one prerequisite is Sitecore PowerShell module. And this is only for CM instances. If you want to do scaffolding here for your content delivery sites, you don't need it. Also, what is great about SXA, in order to start working, you don't need to be developer. You don't need to have Visual Studio. You don't need to have something like, so all these developers tools are not necessary. You just install the package and you could start scaffolding your sites. You already saw the experience, so it's very straightforward. And for building something like microsite, again, just use your Sitecore and your imagination, and this is all what you need. So now, if you know how to start with SXA, we could talk about great stories that you could find inside SXA. So first one is features, and you saw these features in previous demo. So when you scaffold your tenant, there are some features that are available for you. When you scaffold your site, there are other set of features. And for every site, every tenant, you could pick what you're going to use. But what is great here, not just these features, but these features are not hard-coded. They are fully dynamic. So configuration for these features is stored into Sitecore. And you could find predefined features that are coming with SXA. And also, of course, you could modify these features, but what is maybe more interesting for you, you could build your own feature, and you could very organically integrate it into SXA scaffolding process. So you could build a very unified experience when there will be no difference between out-of-the-box features and your custom features. So what you could do with features, you could add items, you could modify items that you have in Sitecore, you could edit theme, and if this is not enough, you could execute scripts. So you could have your PowerShell scripts that will be executed as part of your feature scaffolding, and every site that use your feature will get what you wrote in this PowerShell script. So that was one story. And second story is Creative Exchange. So Creative Exchange is site is like SXA area that designed for creative people, like how you could help creative people and developers work together at the same time. And I'm not going to talk a lot about this, but I'm going to show you how it works, so you could decide on your own, like, does it worth it, or like how you could use it for your life. Okay. It's back. Okay, so what we have here, let me refresh this. I built a simple page, and in this page we have some header, some footer, and we have a few components. And one of these components is style. And as you could see, this is not very styled. And this is how you could you could work in parallel with your creative team. So you could build your custom component, you could build the content, and you don't need to worry too much about your styling. So as soon as you build your page, what you could do, you could use Creative Exchange, and it's here. This is what I need to do. So there is a special tab that is added after you install SXA. And in this tab, there are two buttons. And on this page, I'm using site theme. And now what I can do, I could grab what I just built, and I could create a offline package with everything that I just built. So that package will include HTML, it will include JavaScript files, CSS files, images, and it will be offline package that I could like put in my pocket and be completely independent from Sitecore team, and I could present it to stakeholders. I could do lots of other stuff with this. So this is dialog, and here there are a few options, and you could just grab one page, or you could grab few pages, or if your site is still very small like this one, you could grab whole site. And you could pick like what kind of package you're going to generate. It could be editable package, so that package that you could edit and import back, and you could edit what user will see, so it's preview mode, or you could edit what content editor will see, so you could edit your editor experience. Or you could just wrap the whole site, and you could archive it into one zip file, so it will be transferable, or you could drop into folder, and this is more for scenarios when you have source control and you want to track history. So you could do drop after drop into this folder, commit into source control, and you will have history you could roll back. We don't want to do it right now, but we will just generate a simple content package. Okay, so we created that package. We will download it, and this is a zip package. This is not a Sitecore module. This is just a zip package with files inside. And you could see we have HTMLs here, and inside this folder there will be all these media assets and JavaScripts and CSS. So you need to extract it because you cannot do much inside a zip file. So I'm going to extract it. Okay, and now remember what we just saw here. This is our page design in Sitecore, and let's check what we got. So I will open this folder, and I will just click this index file. Boom. So this is our offline page. So you could do whatever you want with this. So we don't want to just look at this. We want to modify it. We want to apply our creativity and to make it look beautiful. So let's do this. And for this, again, you don't need to have Visual Studio, like real Visual Studio. You just need to have any page editor, any file editor, Notepad, and in my case, it's Visual Studio Code. So this is my file, and now we could start editing. So we could do a few things here. And one thing that we could do, we could work with our media assets. So on our page, we have image. So okay, maybe that image is not good enough, and I want to replace it. So I could do it with Creative Exchange. So I think we don't need this. I prepared image, and I will drop it. So it will be available for our HTML page. So I will drop it to the same location where my original image is stored. So it will be easier for me to manage paths. And what I'm going to do now, I'm going to start using this image. Okay, where is my promo? So this is HTML for my promo, and this is linked to my image. And what is new image name? It's Sitecore logo title, and we have Sitecore logo. I'm just going to change this name. Save it, verify that this is what we want. Yeah, okay, this is new image. So next step. Also what we could do, we could apply some style to this component, or like not just this component, to any component on this page. So I will work with promo, and there is some magic word here, and this word will allow you to find all places when you could apply styles. It's add use CSS classes here, so it's pretty self-explanatory. So this is my promo component, and I want to add my class. My text style. And now I need to build this style, because you still need to build CSS, unfortunately. So nobody will do it for you. Okay, let me find. Okay, so this is my CSS, and I'm going to be very creative here. If I misspell something, please let me know. So background will be, I like green color. So this is my style. Let's check how it's going to work. Okay, it's here. But it's all happened in offline file. So this is something that your creative guy could do in her or his Mac machine. So it's not connected to Sitecore at all. So now we need to import it back into Sitecore and see what will happen. So in order to do this, we need to so I need to return to my folder, and here I need to again package it into zip folder. So it's just zip, and now I need to import it. So I'm returning to Sitecore, and I'm going to use import dialog. This is much simpler. I just need to pick package. Upload. It's to some degree similar to content packages. So it's here. now we could install it. And when we will install it, you will see what exactly will happen after we click next. So what we see here, that our image is added into Sitecore as a media asset. And our style is updated. So all CSS, all JavaScript files are stored as media assets. So our CSS was updated. And also, we created new style. So this style is registered into Sitecore. And this style not just created into Sitecore, it's applied to component. And the last one, I think this is our image that not just added into Sitecore, but this image is applied to a component as well. So let's check how it's going to look like. I will refresh page. So it's here. It's new image, it's new style, and to show you that it's not just some dark magic behind the scene. If you will go to styles, you see, so style is in Sitecore, and style is applied to this component in very SXA friendly way. So I think that's it, that you need to know about Creative Exchange and start working with this, so it works. And Dylan is going to talk about other features.
So Creative Exchange is Dimitri's favorite feature, and it's really cool, but there's some debate internally at Brainjocks on whether or not we like this or not.
My design?
No, the Creative Exchange. So our front-end devs love Sass, and so it doesn't come with Sass out of the box, and so it's kind of a thing. But anyways, all right. Let's go on and let's talk about, where's the clicker? Here we go. Let's talk about partial and page designs. So oftentimes with your Sitecore sites, you have to define a header, you have to define a footer, you have to define, many different body styles, like maybe you got like a 2-column and the right side's wide and the left side's got like a rail in it and things like that. And oftentimes you want, all of your product pages or your news pages to kind of have the same look and feel. Partial designs and page designs are how you achieve that, right? So here you can see I've got multiple partial designs that I've sort of defined here in this kind of mock-up. On my header, I've got navigation, search, branding. On my footer, I've got links and a map and so on and so forth. SXA comes with all of these components that I've put here out of the box, right? So if you want a map component, you want to put it in your footer, you can do it. You can use partials to do it, right? The important thing to note about the partials is you can actually have a placeholder within a partial, and then when it's applied to a page, you can actually drop things into it. So it makes it a little bit different than some of the other features that you may have seen in the past that do this sort of same thing. Here, I've created a page design, and I've applied all 3 of my partials to it. So you see how it kind of merges the presentation of all of those things. Now, when I'm in Sitecore, I can take that page design and I can apply it to my pages, either one-off, kind of ad hoc, or I can apply it kind of globally to my page templates. So let's take a look at where this is in Sitecore. Do we have a mouse? We have a mouse. So if I come out to Content Editor, and we look at the information architecture just a little bit more, you'll see that we have home, media, data, presentation, and settings. So your partials and your page designs are underneath the presentation, and they're defined here under partial designs and page designs, right? Now this is my kind of favorite feature of SXA because you can swap these out ad hoc, and you don't have to go back and reset presentation on all your items. So you guys have probably had the situation before where you've had a 2,000 page site, and something new needs to get added, and now you got to go back and reset presentation everywhere. It's kind of a pain, So I can come into my header footer partial here that we've created, and I can open it up in Experience Editor, and I can start to design what this will look like, right? So if I move the toolbox out of the way, you can see we've got a title component, we've got this text component, right? Maybe I could split this up with rows and columns and do sort of whatever I want. But in the spirit of time, we've only got those 2. So after I build out all the partials that I want, depending on whatever my business use case is, I can come and I can make page designs, right? Now, my page designs, you see we've got a home page design here, but really you could make a product page design, you can make a product page design too, you could have like multiples of them. And whenever you look at these, they basically allow you to select the partials that will compose that page design, right? Now, if I come up to my page design folder here, I can assign my templates to my different designs, right? So that's really powerful, and I can swap them out whenever I want, just publish, and it affects my entire site. I love this feature. So if I come up to my home page here, I don't like how this always prompts whenever this particular field is on the page. But anyways, go up to my home page here, open this up. You can see that because this page was using that design, right, I've got this title component up here, and I've got this text component down here. Now, one thing you might notice, this text component's not editable from this page, right? But this title component is. And it's because the title component pulls from a field on the page, right? And that allows me to edit it. All right. So the next really important feature to understand is rendering variance. Now, I have to admit, I didn't like this feature when I first saw it. I saw it demoed. I thought it was kind of crazy, some black magic. It's kind of complicated to wrap your head around, but it's really, really powerful once you kind of get the hang of it. And what rendering variants do is they allow you to change the markup and the fields that your components are driven off of, right? So you can inject more fields into your components, and you can change them from divs to H1s to H2s, whatever you want to do, okay? And it's really important because when you start to decompose a design, you're going to see repeatable patterns, and then you're going to, say, well, I need to make a custom rendering to make that work. Well, you don't have to with rendering variants most of the time. So let's take a look at some rendering variants, and I'll show you sort of why we need this. So you can see that this is a title component right here on this page. If I preview this page and take a look at the actual markup it generated, it's an anchor tag inside of a div, inside of a div, inside of a div. There's no H1. There's no SEO value there, right? So I can fix that by creating a rendering variant. So let me come back out into the editor, go down into my rendering variants area, which is under presentation, under rendering variants, and you can see here all of the components out of the box in SXA that support rendering variants, right? If I come to this title component here, there's a default variant, but I'm going to insert a new variant. I'm going to call this one page title, because I'm going to make it an H1. I'm going to fix it. Now, I wanted to stop right here and let you take a look at that and see kind of what you get with rendering variants out of the box. So I can add fields, I can add placeholders, I can add sections, which are basically like divs with CSS classes. So I can make all kinds of markup here. But what I really want for this demo is just a field, right? And the field I want is the page title. So, and it's title, and it's on the base template that comes with SXA. So once I add that in, you can see here, I'm able to change the tag from a div down to an H1, right? Let me save that. And also, I can do things like prefixes, suffixes. I can do, all that stuff. So I'm going to put a prefix in here. Do like that. Save. So the last part to this is I have to actually go to my design, and I have to actually apply the rendering variant to the rendering, right? So let me open up the header footer and show you what that looks like. Now you'll notice right here, this is not a Sitecore 8.2 feature. This is an SXA feature, this variant. I'm able to click it, and I can select this page title and save it. Now when I go back out to my page and look at it, we can take a look at the markup, and you'll see instantly, it'll be recognizable that the rendering actually changed. Let's come back out here and look at our page. And you can see that it is now bigger. It's got this sort of prefix on it. And if I preview the page and inspect element, you'll see that it's an H1 tag. So that's sort of the importance with rendering variants. Now, this was a trivial example, right? And when me and Dimitri first started looking at this, we had questions around some of the search components built in and whatnot. And we, at Brainjocks, we do a thing with search where we kind of let pages define what they look like in search, and we'll always have an image and text and other text and links and all kinds of crazy stuff. And we asked on Stack Exchange, how do you make that work in SXA? And the answer is rendering variance, right? So it's a very, very powerful feature, and it's something that I really like, and I want to kind of dig in farther into this, in the future. So, if you're a developer in the room, you might ask, how the hell do I make my own rendering, right? What do I do to make a component? And I don't want to say we ripped this slide off, but this slide is a culmination of a couple of different, sources. At the end of the day, it's still Sitecore, right? Make a controller rendering. Unfortunately, it's recommended that it is a controller rendering, right? Inheriting from SXA standard controller. Now, if you do this, you'll notice if you poke around inside of SXA, they've actually got some IOC set up out of the box for you. So it kind of changes the way you define your renderings a little bit if they're controller renderings. But keep that in mind. Your rendering model should inherit this rendering model base, right? And that gives you access to this model.cssclasses.aggregate down here on your divs. And you always want to wrap every component in a wrapping div that does this class aggregation. And that will make you Creative Exchange compliant, right? So this is sort of, if you want to make your own rendering, take a look at this slide. There's other examples on the internet that kind of lay out these steps, and you should be able to get pretty far, right? Now the cool thing here, and Dimitri touched on this, is, okay, I made a component. How do I make it so my sites can use it, right? Well, you can inject yourself into the scaffolding via touching the Sitecore System Settings feature area down there. And that's an SXA thing where their scaffolding script basically looks at that portion of the tree and it's dynamic, and it will just create your thing if the user wants it. So another cool feature, you might have seen back here, this query. If you have a data source, that $site, that's not a Sitecore thing, right? How many times have you had to write a Sitecore query and it's like a nightmare to get it right? You can't debug it. It is insane. They've got a few queries here, or tokens for your queries, that make things really, really easy. The one I really appreciate, it's kind of a subtle one, is the templates, $templates. If you ever make a component that needs to pick like a page type, like maybe search results wants to restrict itself to a certain type of page, knowing where your templates are to just show a list of those is really powerful. You can make your own tokens via a pipeline, of course. It's Sitecore, right? The other thing that we really appreciated was the component styling, right? So whenever I'm on a component, almost all components support being able to inject different CSS classes. And that really, really helps with reusability, because you could have a promo component and it's got certain fields on it, but your designer created that in 5 different styles. Well, now you can create styles for each of those and handle it that way. The toolbox that you guys saw, the folder names in the toolbox are driven by the folder names of your renderings, right? So if you ever want to change them or add new ones, that's how you do it. And one of the last things is the components that you get out of the box are really powerful. Now, it's not like a silver bullet. There's no like mega menu. There's a lot of things that are missing. But that first time you have to make a carousel in Sitecore is kind of it's a trick, right? And so they have a carousel built in, they have accordion built in, they have tabs built in. It's all nice. There's a flip component, which is kind of funny. I've never seen a use for that kind of component, but anyways, it's there. And then there's built-in search components. And then there's configuration that you get for Lucene and Solar, right? So if you want search on your site, you can just drop in a search box, start dropping in the search results. You can throw in filtering and faceting, and it's all there. And it's all separate renderings, so you can put it wherever you want on your pages. And yeah, that's pretty much our interpretation of SXA, and I like it. I think it's cool, but again, it's not a silver bullet. Like Rightpoint was saying, it's really for your microsites and anything you want to stand up rapidly and quickly. It's got a lot out of the box to help with that. Some of the best resources on the web that we found during our research, the Sitecore Slack channel. If you guys aren't in there, you should go get in there. You got to look at Akshay's blog. He can get you in. There's a SXA channel on Sitecore Slack, and they're very, very helpful in there. And then the other place is the Sitecore Stack Exchange. There's 24 or so questions up there that are really, really helpful. So Hope you enjoyed it. Thank you.